Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. Um, my name is Jameelah, and of course, I'm a master manifester. I'm doing this video because I did a name change to my YouTube channel, and this is mostly about primarily me, if I'm being honest, right? So I make these videos because I just enjoy this. Before we even had videos, I used to write blogs all the time, articles after articles, because every time I felt like I could articulate something very clearly that people might have been struggling with or trying to grasp, that I had the words to do it. I had the ability to manipulate words in a way that I could create an understanding. And so I've been educating people for a long time. I'm really good at bridging gaps and creating understandings because I've been in the places where most people have been in their thinking process. And when you move past it, you can see that you can see the clear way that they're seeing the world. It's not hard. This was something I used to do early on teaching computer science. So many people were afraid of computers. You're talking about 2010, 2011, right? Social media wasn't even a thing until 2010, 2011, right? So you're talking about the regular use of these smartphones, computers, and all. I was still in the classroom then. 2009 was probably when I started teaching in 2008 and 9. And it was always so hard for me to get the regular students who weren't into computer science majors to understand the concepts of basic introduction to computer science. And it was a requirement at the college I used to teach at because they felt like you couldn't go into the world and be productive without knowing something about computers. And they were absolutely right, right? It wasn't a fad. It wasn't going away. Computers were going to be a major part of how we operated our daily lives. And it is today, right? So I've always been good at bridging those very technical gaps with very easy to understand language, right? And that was always what I was touted for. Like, she makes me understand it so easily because to me, that's the point. We could all sit up in the ivory towers and write articles that nobody can understand, but what are we truly changing and what are we truly creating, right? We have to decline. Somebody's trying to call. I'll call them back. And so I changed the name of the channel because I've been really coming across some real clear realities as it relates to how people think. I rarely lift my head up and kind of look and say, what are people doing? What are they thinking? What is the average person kind of going on? Because I've been having my head down, taking care of these beautiful little ladies and I have, and, working and all this kind of stuff that everybody's doing. And so I put my head up and I'm looking like, and there's so much material on YouTube, and I don't have Instagram anymore, but I'm sure it's the same stuff on YouTube, and I'm sure Facebook too. I don't have that, but because it's made its way all the way to LinkedIn. And I remember having students sign up for LinkedIn when it was strictly about a job. It was strictly about a career and making connections. Now it's just another floofy place that people share their emotions with and all that kind of thing. But nonetheless, there's a lot of people that discuss manifesting in a way that it's a process that you don't have to participate in. And I just want to make sure that nobody's ever gotten the impression from me that I have sat down and meditated myself into the lifestyle and the life that I am living. That was a small component of it. Anybody you see with anything they have to offer, they've paid some type of price for it. Nothing is free. The idea of manifesting magic is that my idea is that there are so many options and choices out there that are within your vicinity and your range, right? You only have access to the options and choices that are in the range of what a human being at a certain age, at a certain time, and when they were born, and whether or not technology is available or not, right? Because we're not our mother's, housekeepers. I have so many things that get done for me now. We have technologies that shift and change those things, whereas we don't like to pay attention to the limitations that are naturally in an environment, right? Like, I know that I can't step off this balcony and drop to the ground without expecting some major problems with my body. That is a limitation to a human body. It cannot withstand high drops from tall places, right? And so we don't want to. Often what I'm seeing is now people not wanting to recognize the limitations that are sitting in your non-tangible environment, right? Like when I was divorced and I had these two small children, there was no part of my mindset that said, I am going to remarry immediately or whatever and create a family that, this whole family and all, even though I come from a family that's a mixed family, you know, everybody's my blood relation, but I have siblings. We all grew up in the same household. There were stepchildren on both sides. So I could have easily believed that this is the type of thing. Oh, that's easy to do. Let's go do that. But a part of me was just like, you can't do it all. So I knew what a household was like when you were running it with a husband in it. And without a husband in it, if you're not financially strapped, the household is much easier to run. And that may be not a good thing to say, but it's just the truth of the matter. And so unless you found a really specific husband who was a special type of help around the house, but even with that, even with a loving partner and all that, I was just telling him the other day, it does make a little more work around the house having another person because it's another whole adult. And I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a negative thing. It's just more. When you have little small children, it's your rules, your way, bedtime, everything is you. You're making all the decisions. If you want to give them chicken nuggets for dinner, there's nobody looking over your shoulder going, chicken nuggets again. There's a lot more in it. They have opinions about how the children are raised, and that is perfectly wonderful. But there was a large part of me that knew that I don't have the energy to give to a husband and building a career and raising these children. Which one of those things I think that I can control and do without? I knew that I can control career and bring what I needed to in my house, but I couldn't control whether or not I met a decent enough man quickly enough to make him a husband and to try to, another chance at this whole nuclear family thing, right? So I made a decision. I knew what I was choosing and not choosing. I knew that I was choosing career and all that. And if I made it to 40 or so and had the opportunity to have another beautiful relationship or something like that, then I would be open for it. But I knew at the same time, I had already spent the majority of my time invested in the first marriage and raising the kids and trying to make sure that the finances were together. And before I was even a mother who was by herself, I had a master's degree already in computer science. That's not the reality of a lot of people. I was able to teach part-time and bring in full-time income and still be at home with my daughters. That was not the case for most people. And so when I would talk about manifesting magic to people, sometimes they would think that, oh, look, she did this thing and she created this lifestyle for herself that was easy. I mean, that she did it, she pulled it off, but they don't see the other side of that. Because while you are hoping for the best, a lot of people that shot for that kind of lifestyle, they didn't get it. They were doing what I was doing. They were working just as hard as I was working. They had less kids than me. They were, they had less, financial burdens or whatever. I had a whole house and a mortgage when my kids were little. And car note, all that, you know what I mean? And I was working part-time. I mean, what I'm saying is that the magic came from the mindset. The magic doesn't come from gifts falling out of the sky. The magic came from me looking at what I had objectively. You make $40,000 a year. This is what you can have right now. The magic is me not wanting that 40 to be 80 and being angry that I don't have the 80 today. So that's why I'm just telling you why I'm changing the name of the channel to Manifest the Magic the Practical Way. Because I think that we enjoy sometimes selling a dream to people when the dream is only a tiny piece of it. Everybody has a dream. Everybody wants to manifest. Everybody wants blah, blah, blah. But the work that needs to be done behind the scenes, that's what's important. And I remember listening to Tony Robbins a long, long time ago. And he was like, you think for average work, you should get average results. No, in this society, for average work, you get poor results. And he said, you think for above average work, you should get above average results. He said, in this society, above average gives you average results, right? He says, you think being, he said, but in actuality, for you to get above average in anything that we call beyond that, you have to be exceptional. You have to be exceptional. This doesn't change. Any talented person you see, or people like to go on about Beyonce not being talented, whatever you want to call it, she made sure she was exceptional in a business that was saturated. So she manifested her magic by making sure she was exceptional. And that is what it comes down to. There's no way to get around that. You don't get things for free. There's nothing free. And I don't ever want to come off as a person that puts off a message that you can somehow have something that's completely astronomically out of your reach just by believing in it, right? Because even when these things happen, there are anomalies. I was just going over this paperwork, and I'm teaching a social stratification class to students now, and I'm reading the discussion boards, and I'm like, "Boy, everybody thinks everybody's rich." Not everybody's rich. Everybody thinks everybody has access to this abundance that they see on social media. And we all can shoot for that stuff. But it's just not going to fall in your lap by, just being great. I'm so great. Look at me. That's just not how that works. Only 4% of people in this country, I don't know about other countries, actually move from one income bracket, what we call lower class, what we call poverty, working class, lower class, middle class, because when you break down the classes, there are a lot more brackets than 3 than what you see on TV. Middle class, and then what is it? Upper class, and then what we call upper echelon, right? Only 4% of people actually move from one to the next. So that means like out of 100 people, 4 people. So while all 100 of those people can shoot, can try, can go blah, 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 and be exceptional, only 4 of those people, historically, this has been for more than the past 100 years, actually move from one bracket to the next. And the biggest reason is because of the social and cultural capital. In order to move in next level echelons, you have to have what they call social capital, meaning the connections of people that you need to understand and people that can help you get from one place to the next. And then you need the cultural capital, meaning you need to be able to have a conversation with them about the things that are important at the level that you're trying to reach. And the only time people achieve that sort of thing is when they become exceptional enough that people go, wow, come on, I'll take you with me, right? They're like, oh, I can vouch for you. You've proven you're talented enough. You're exceptional. I can do that. Let's bring you to the next level, right? I've had people contact me on Facebook when I would have like author classes and all that kind of stuff, people that wanted to be writers and things. And I used to just say, well, just write, you're a writer. And they reach out and say, can you mentor me? I remember a young lady, can you mentor me? And I was like, sure, send me your writings. I'll read it. I'll critique it. I'll look. And I did all that. I sent it to her. And she started telling me about her life. She was a single mom, and I was inspiring to her and all that kind of stuff. And at the time I wanted to say, yeah, I was a single mom that had already established herself deeply in a lucrative enough career to be okay. And at the time I didn't even want to say it because I felt like it was going to be something that was going to dash her dreams, And when I sat there and she's like, okay, just, can you help me? And then when I finally gave her the work to do, I didn't hear anything from her for another year. And then I guess when the pain got too deep again, where she wasn't applying herself and she wasn't doing what she wanted, she contacted me again. But by then I was over it. So that's what I'm saying. I've never had a mentor that I played with. Mentor, they're very busy people because they know the power that they have of taking you from one level to the next. And when you're talking about manifesting magic, the magic comes in the mindset, attracting the right relationships, but the work, the worldly work, the sitting up till 4 o'clock in the morning, writing books and writing dissertations and, hustling children from classroom to classroom and putting them in the back of the room and don't even telling the students, that's my kids. They got on headphones. I'm about to teach for years. That's not the stuff that people talk about. Because while you're creating those things and while you're trying to make that stuff happen, there's still a large component of work you have to do because we don't live in a primarily non-tangible space. We live in a very limited space. So while we are spiritual beings inside of these bodies having this experience, this body has limitations. It doesn't stay here. It gets old, it gets cruddy, it falls apart. Everybody likes to think that they're not going to be the one to fall apart. Everybody does. If you're lucky enough to make it to old age, right? So I really want to focus more and put my attention more into the area of what is practical manifesting of magic. Because anybody that's selling you a potion and a prayer, they're not looking out for your best interests. They're not telling you what needs to be done on the next level, right? I follow another lady I really like. I think I shared her online, Latoya Okia. And she was saying how she was online and she's more spiritual as far as Christianity, but she's not Christian, but more along those lines. And she was saying about a year after doing her videos and putting herself out there, she was like, how am I sitting here telling these people what they need to do in their lives? And I'm not even healthy. I'm not even taking care of myself. I'm not even getting up in the morning to go take a walk. I'm not even eating foods that are good for my spirit. So manifesting magic, and you should see her now. She glows. When I tell you, glows. And it has some, it's not all the weight loss, but you can clearly see the fresh new energy that's in her compared to where she was at in the beginning. And if you look at some old courses of mine that I have on Udemy for free, you'll probably see a whole different person than what I was 4 years ago. Because the realities of it is that there are limitations, and the limitations are okay. And the only time people get frustrated and angry is when they refuse to see the limitations sitting right in front of their face. Just because you recognize your limitations in the moment doesn't mean you can't remove those limitations through diligence, meditation, hard work, being a positive light, bringing the right energy into the room, attracting the right people. You can, right? I'm living proof of that. But I would never tell you that it was as simple as me sitting on a patio meditating for 8 hours a day. And if that's possible, not very many people are able to pull that off completely. But what's more likely is you doing your part and then the universe saying, oh, this is a great idea. This is the best vessel for it to run through. Let me run through her, right? It's not luck. It's preparation meeting opportunity. Preparation has to be consistent. And the only way to be consistently prepared is to know that if you keep at it, you are manifesting magic, to be magic, to live in a magical way, to live below the means you have to make sure that you're not strapped and you have time to meditate. You have time to play with your children. You have time to go take a walk in the park, right? So all that getting it now and flashy things is so prevalent. It's everywhere. That is not it. Because we already know billionaires jump off buildings and commit suicide. So it can't just be the money, right? The magic is the relationships. It's the networks. It's the people that you connect with along the way. It's the people that gave you grace when they didn't have to. It's the people you give grace to when you don't have to. I'm probably a sucker as a professor because almost anything students tell me, I let them, you can retake that. You can, because you know what? In the real world, when you ask and apply yourself, you get grace. And I want people to give me grace when I don't know something or when I'm ignorant to it. So I give it to others. That is the magic, right? So that's my new channel name, Manifesting Magic in a Practical Way, because everything about the earthly experience is practical for the most part. Anyway, it takes a lot of work to be one of them 4% that actually move. It takes a lot of work. And it's not just the work, it's the mindset. It has to all be together. Anyway, I hope you all enjoying your day. And until next time, have a wonderful day.